to Hermit Woods, where there's a story in every bottle. We've already got 8 friends online with us, and it's New Year's Day.
What?
It's the first year, first Monday.
It's 1-1.
1-1. The
It's
first
1-1-2-4.
Monday show. It's Monday again. We
It is
missed
Monday.
last Monday, so it feels like it's been a little bit of time.
We missed last Monday?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, I can hear us.
Yeah,
Can you
we have a new mic, everybody.
Yeah,
if
new
you're
mic.
joining us, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Let us know that you can hear us.
Let us know if the volume is good. I got to get over to comments here to find out who's visited us. We have Priscilla and Karen, Christine.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Cheers.
Clinky, clinky.
Welcome to our end of year show. It's always a fun show.
Wait a minute, it's the beginning of the year.
I know,
we're doing
we're-
the end of the year at the beginning of the year?
We're
I'm
covering
confused.
the end of the year.
Recovering in the year.
It's not that hard.
It
If you
isn't
think
that
about
hard.
it for a minute,
Well,
you'll
this
see.
is 2024. Well, we can't really look at
Do
2023.
you do your preamble at the end of the
We'll
show?
do the preview of 2024 on another time.
Oh, at another
That would be a preview, though. That we don't know what's going to happen.
Well, we really can't do the year
Oh,
end.
that would be so great. Let's do a prediction.
Oh,
A
and then we can look
prediction
back
for all
on
the
it.
stuff we're going to do. We can talk
Yes,
about
that'd be a
products that we're
great
going to
show.
release, adventures we're going to go on to.
You
We're
heard
gonna
it
come
here
up with
first.
Ideas,
In the next
and
couple
then
Mondays.
we'll actually see if which of those come to fruition.
We are going to do that in the next couple Mondays. We're going to come up with a show. We're going to predict, and then we'll get to look at it next year and see what happened and didn't happen. Of course, it'll all happen because we're going to make it happen if we say
We
it.
will. But will we find ourselves in a situation going, we're not supposed to be here, we're supposed to be somewhere else? Because on January 1st we said we were going to be
Nah,
here.
we're not.
Yeah.
Since when do we follow the rules?
That's true.
We'll have to work on that. Stay tuned.
So let me just get through our intro here. For anybody who's new showing up to our show today, thank you for joining us to our Monday Night Live show.
I got to join the golden boys here.
We get together every Monday, or almost every Monday, either the three of us or some variation of this group, the founders of Hermit Woods Winery, so that we can share stories about wine, things related to wine, and all of the exciting things going on at Hermit Woods Winery and revolving around our adventures together. And if you're joining us today, we'd love it if you'd let the world know that you're here by putting a comment in the comment section so we can see that you're here. If you have any questions during the show, please feel free to ask them. We'll do the best we can to answer those questions online or live on the show. If we can't get to them on the show, we'll get to them at the end. If you're joining us for the first time also, we'd love it if you subscribe to our page. Right under Chuck is a subscribe button for YouTube, and on Facebook is a little bell. If you click that bell, you'll subscribe. And anytime we go live on Monday nights or on the ski area, on the slopes or in the woods or kayaking or whatever we might be doing, to say hello from the Hermit Woods ecosphere, you'll get a notice. Also, if you subscribe, we're live broadcasting all of our shows here from now on. And so if you're one of our YouTube subscribers, you'll get a notice that we're going live for whenever we put on a show here in the loft. And we've had some really amazing shows. And I know it's always better to see them in person, but if you can't get here, it's not a bad way to see some amazing artists and performers.
Yeah, I couldn't make the show last night, but I listened in on the
Yeah, I
show
did too.
for a while,
Yeah, I did
and the sound and the quality are just great.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really good.
I actually watched it after the fact. Because you just go
A lot
watch
of
the
people do.
archive of
Yeah.
all
Oh,
this
you can
stuff.
watch
Yeah.
it after the fact.
Yeah.
Yep,
Sure.
it lives
Yeah,
forever
you
on
don't have to watch
YouTube.
it,
You
yeah.
want to go see any of our shows, go to our
So you
YouTube
could just
channel.
watch our
and
videos all the time.
You
If
could,
you
you
wanted
could
to.
binge watch everything that we've ever done that's out there.
Everything that we've ever put on YouTube will live forever and ever, long
Yeah.
after we're gone.
Yeah.
So if you guys are joining us, we'd love it if you'd like our broadcast, and if you feel like your friends or family would enjoy it, share it with them as well. Thank you again for joining us, and let's get into the show. And I thought I'd start the show with a video. Some of you may have seen it because I put the video out as a promotion, but it's a 3-minute video, and it's just going to be some fun pictures of our last year. Then we could go over some of those in stories. So I'm going to start with a little video.
Now, will they be able to hear us?
Nope, they're just going to see the video for the
So
moment.
they'll just see
It's
the
just
video.
3
So if
minutes.
was great seeing
Wow,
all
that
those
was fun.
photos.
Yeah.
That was great, and that's just scratching the surface. I mean, I got the sort of the big broad picture kinds of things captured in that slideshow, but there were a lot of little things. You could only, I only wanted to put so much; it could get too long. But those were the big happenings. There's a few more things I think we could talk about.
Well, you could have filled up a whole slideshow just on events up here in the loft.
Oh, sure, I did. I did. Oh, imagine that. What a good idea. Actually, so it's coming soon to a YouTube screen near you. I put together it's not 100%, it's 17 or 18 of the acts who performed here with a 3-minute clip of their performance and of the audio of their performance with some of the photography. And it's a really cool, I was so pleased with how it came out. It's an hour long, and you might be thinking, I'm not going to sit and watch an hour of this. But you might, because I shared it with Geraldine, and she sat down and she said, "Oh, I'll watch a couple minutes of it, see how I like it." And I came back an hour later after I went downstairs to work out or whatever, and came back. She's still there. She said, "I couldn't stop watching it. I couldn't stop watching it. It was so cool. It was so fun." And it shows 3 minutes of each act, and they're all very different, and they're different players, and the pictures allow you to get sort of personal with who these people are, because they're up close and personal
Where are
pictures.
you gonna post that? Is that gonna be on?
It'll be on
Facebook?
YouTube
On YouTube and Facebook?
soon, and I'll put on Facebook as a YouTube link. It won't be able to be a video on Facebook, but I'll put the link on YouTube, on Facebook. So that's going to tell a little bit of the story. We've had over 80 acts perform on this stage since we opened this venue. It's been profound. It's hard for me to even believe, because seemed like yesterday that I was in a bit of a panic, thinking I'm going to be responsible to put on a show every week for the next forever, and I have no idea what I'm doing, and I have no idea how to put on a show, and I have no idea how to MC a show, and I'm scared to death. And I remember talking to John about this, and John and I were like talking about our roles in the early days before this thing changed a little bit with COVID. But and I was saying to John, you're going to be MC, right? You're going to agree to do that, because that's not me.
And now, no, that's you.
Yeah, it's
Every
me
one of
now,
them.
every one of them. So I'm beginning to have fun with it, so it's okay. But I'll put that out. So that's a year in review. We can't not talk about the amazing performances that have happened in this stage, and they're only going to get better. I mean, some of that we're having an act. They've traveled the world. I can't wait. The Warp's coming in January. It's a quartet, a string quartet that. Or I think there's a drummer in there, so it's a string
percussion.
quintet.
And it's not,
or
I mean, the
quintet.
little snippets I've heard, it's not like normal sort of stuff that
Oh
you've
no, it's
experienced
like
before.
modern
It's
music
really,
being played
It's really wild.
with violins and cellos but very modern and
It's like a rock
incredibly interesting music. Yeah, young guys, really enthusiastic. They're coming in February 8th. And Trade is coming back, and Trade's a little bit different as well. They've got a different kind of sound than we usually have up here. So some different types of music, and a more classic jazz act happening on January 19th.
So what's the schedule? We're doing every 2 weeks? in January?
So it's changed up a bit. Our Thursday night gig is switched to Fridays. We're going to try Friday night this winter. And the Listening Room Thursday night show is just going to be a Friday night show once a month. So we're going to just do Fridays, but because of scheduling challenges, it's going to go back to Thursday on the 8th of February. So you got to go to the calendar and look at the dates.
Okay.
But it's less important, because we got a Wednesday show. At the end of the month, Katie's doing a show, but Katie's last show got canceled because of illness. So we're doing Katie's show on the 10th. So if you want to come and see the Songwriter Roundup, that's on the 10th. And then we have a new show, Vera, who was here for she was doing the fundraiser for Ukraine.
Ukraine fundraiser.
She so loved the venue. She called me up a few months ago and said, "Can I bring somebody else?" And she's bringing this great pianist out of New York, who's just sounds international fame and really talented people.
I saw the email on that.
And they're going to perform on the 13th, which is a Saturday night. So it's all jumbled. It doesn't matter to me. It's a matter that we get a good performance
It's
up
live
here
and
on
happening
stage.
here at the Loft. So that's it.
Yeah, and actually it's a good thing. We've been talking about whether Thursday night's the right night. We don't always know. We've had a lot of Thursday nights that were pretty soft in attendance. So maybe it's not the right night. Maybe we try Friday night.
Yeah.
And
We'll see
and
how it
I'm
goes.
so excited. Dave and Randy have officially, they stated it on
the show.
on
Yeah.
the show that they're
So
coming
mention it.
once a month starting in April
In
to
April.
do. It's sort of like a 7-on-7 adventure.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
With those two,
Right.
and maybe the bass player who was here that night, and I don't know who else, but
Tim on the drums.
Tim on the
Tim
drums
on the
probably,
drums,
yeah.
Right.
And I'm really excited to have them back. They're great. It was Randy Roos who was here last Thursday, and put on an amazing show. Again, you want to see any of these shows, you just go on our YouTube page, and they're all there. Just look for the date or the name of the artist you're looking for, and you'll find it. So
what was your highlight of 23? If you had to choose one or 2-3 things that were kind of that stand out for you of
it's
great
easy.
events.
It's absolutely easy.
Because there were There were a lot of incredible.
Yeah, well, did we not
experiences.
start off skiing in Champagny-Vinois
Yeah.
and La Plagne in
So
January?
let's talk about that.
That's
So that was
insane, right?
that was the first
I know,
highlight.
I know.
The
That
first
was-
picture on my reel with the pictures of us in the snow.
Yeah.
We went for 10 days or 8 days or whatever it was to the French Alps. We skied for 4 days in the French Alps. We stayed at a little chalet there.
Yep.
And then we went and visited Wolfgang in Geneva and
Yeah.
spent 3 days and discovered wine in Switzerland, which
Yeah.
who knew?
Which was
Well, then you look
amazing.
at the map and you go,
Right.
well,
That
of
makes
course there's
sense.
wine in Switzerland.
Yeah.
They're practically in France.
Right, exactly. It's the French part
Right.
of Switzerland, right?
Yeah, so that was the start of our year, and I absolutely would say that is a highlight, but that wasn't what was coming to mind for me.
Right.
The most amazing thing that happened in my mind this year was you getting invited to present wine to that consortium of winemakers down in Maryland. That was an amazing opportunity. If you don't know about it, there's a wine media guy down in Pennsylvania who puts on a wine tasting for winemakers. And it's an exclusive event, invite only, and he invites who he feels are the most progressive and best winemakers of the East Coast. And that covers anything from Virginia all the way up to Maine. And he hand selects people every year to come and bring their wines and have a gathering where people can talk to each other about their wines, share their wines with each other, learn from each other, talk about how the wines are made and challenges in the industry and everything in between. And we got invited to bring wines made from things other than grapes to this event, which was...
It was a wild card
it was
for him too.
It was a wild card.
Paul was really
Paul
you know,
Vigna.
concerned. He when we talked on the phone, he got a sense for who we are and what we do and the sorts of wines. But you could tell there was a big dose of skepticism in all of that, as you could imagine there should be. But he knows Carlos, and he knows from Maryland, from the university.
Joe Fiolo.
Joe Fiolo.
Right.
Mind blank there. But so both Joe and Carlos are involved in this event, know this event, and said, these guys from Hermit Woods, they'll fit in. It'll be good.
And it's a big risk. 7 years they've done this event, they've never had a wine at this event that isn't made from grapes. And they're pouring these wines side by side. There were what?
There were 15
different wines.
of each. So we did 15 whites in the morning and 15 reds in the afternoon.
So there were 30 wines.
And, you know, I'd never been anything like this. Wasn't really knew what to expect, but Paul sent these data sheets to me. How did you grow the grapes? What is south facing? What's the soil like? All this stuff. Not applicable, not applicable, not applicable. You know, get down to some things that I could answer about the wines that we created. And so you fill out these forms and then you distribute those, you send those back to Paul, and Paul compiles them all and then prints out a book with all the sheets about every one. And then you sit down at the table and your groups, I think it was 10 tables with 5 people or something, and you start tasting these wines and the winemaker stands up and talks for a few minutes about their wine. And so there's 5-10 minutes or so place. And we went through, I was number 11, so there were 10 just gorgeous white wines that came beforehand. And really amazing. That Viognier out of South Carolina that guy did. Some of these other, you know, Riesling out of the Finger Lakes. Just classic, really well crafted white wines. And then there's Lake House White.
And you were sitting next to a wine
And I was
reporter
sitting next to a wine reporter.
who's traveled all over
Yeah.
the East writing about wines.
And she'd been there before, and she's reading the data on the upcoming wine. It's not that it has notes of peaches and quince. It's actually made out of peaches and quince.
Yeah,
and
right.
she's looking at the other people like,
What?
what are we getting
Who
ourselves
invited
into?
this guy?
The Boone's Farm has come to destroy our little
It was hilarious. I was nervous for sure, but I had just tasted those 10 wines. Lake House White was poured. I just rolled it around, smelled it, and it was right in keeping with those
their
other
styles,
wines.
yeah.
It was unique. It stood out. It was well crafted. There were no flaws.
You got a standing ovation.
No, it was incredible.
A standing ovation from 30 winemakers or 12 winemakers, I guess it was.
And there was a great.
And there were some very
Follow-up, too.
respectable winemakers.
Oh, yeah.
We'd been to the wineries. Many of us, you bought a case of wine from one of those wineries that was there.
Yeah, Black
Up in New York.
Ankle, and then Allegro, and then
No, it was
Allegro was at the
Black Ankle wasn't.
Black Ankle was Allegro was.
Yeah, and the ones in New York, Fox Run,
Fox Run.
Fox Run,
Yeah.
yeah.
and the
Fox
one
Run,
next door to Fox Run was there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kemeter?
No,
No,
the
it
one
wasn't Cumberland.
next, across the
Oh,
street.
yeah,
Across the
I bought
street.
a bunch of wine from them.
The
Yeah.
original one.
It's all gone now.
Yeah, they were great wineries, and very respectful wine, and they were there, and you got a standing ovation. That was a highlight. There was no doubt that no matter what else happened this year, that stood out. And to top it off, we got to ride our motorcycles.
Well, I was going to say that you've left out
To Maryland.
You've left out a big change in our lives. It
Motorcycles.
was this year,
I
especially.
did not do this
Big
ride.
big embrace.
Nor did I go to this.
No, you were not
This is
available.
not my number one experience for the year.
Well, your schedule's a little tighter than ours. Well, no, actually, it isn't. It's not.
I do have a day job.
That's not true, actually. His work schedule is not anywhere near as tight as ours, but his play schedule is so busy that it's often hard to
It
get
is
to.
hard.
The play schedule is
I'm
very
a
packed.
little bit of a hobby junkie.
Yeah.
But I will say that, so my highlight with wine centric was Thanksmas this year when I opened a bottle of wine that we got in California when we went out to Unified from Gideon Beerenstock, a 2013
Yeah.
Clos Saron. And that was by far the best wine experience I've had this year for me. I mean, that was just,
So
that we got this together. It was an interesting wine. We learned a lot from Gideon Beerenstock.
Yeah.
And it was, I think it was fairly foundational to a lot of what this is all about, and certainly stylistically to your philosophy of winemaking was really impacted by that. And then this, old Pinot Noir from his vineyard it was a whole magical.
It was a big wine.
It was a big wine, and it just had layers and flavor, and it was one of those really special bottles of wine.
the backstory there was we went. This was a part of another year in review, I think,
That was
we had
2018, I think, when we went to California.
we went to
Unified.
California to Unified, and we decided to visit. We got Clark.
Clark Smith.
He gave us a little tour of other wineries that he knew, and we got to meet Randall Graham and have wine with him, and then we got to travel out to see Gideon Beerenstock, who has this little tiny. As tiny a winery, he makes 800 cases a year off of his little vineyard, but he's pretty famous. He's world famous. He's actually in a documentary on making natural wines. I still got to see that.
Yep.
And his wines are sold all over the world, and they're premium wines at top value. And we show up at this little dinky little place on the side of a hill,
Yeah,
little
he's there.
adobe barn, and a bunch of barrels of wine in it.
Hi,
and
Clark. Good to see you.
Right. Yeah.
Ken, sorry, I don't know why you traveled all this way to talk about wine, because it's right here. It's all about growing these grapes.
the vineyard was his front yard.
It's
I mean,
literally
you
out
could
his
literally
front
walk out his front door and throw a pebble, and you'd hit the vineyard.
Yeah,
It's right
right
there.
there.
But super guy, and we learned so much that
I
day.
learned a lot.
And Chuck bought a few bottles home, and
And saved one.
saved one.
Yeah.
And we got that
We all
was the
brought one.
highlight of 2023.
Yeah, no. Well, it's all about the story, right, Tom?
It is. It's all about the story. Absolutely, actually. Yeah, you can't. It's all about, and I've been on this bend. You're probably tired of me hearing it. Tired of saying it, but the fact that we experience everything that we do with all of our experiences, and experience is one of the things we apply to every glass.
Right.
That book I'm reading, you actually really touched a chord the last few chapters. We'll have to talk about this, but she's singing my song on that experience.
Which book is
thing.
this?
The How to Do Nothing. Or,
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, How to Do Nothing.
Oh, it's just fascinating.
Yeah, it's a good book.
It's a good book.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
not to digress,
Well-
you just shared before we go to you, you just shared your wine-centric highlight of the year.
Yeah, well,
What's your highlight of the year? You have one? Just your own personal, or with us, or as a group, or was it in that slideshow that you just saw, or?
Oh my God, I live a magical life. I mean,
That's a
think,
highlight in and of itself.
yeah, no.
My
That
life
he's still
is
alive?
magical. All right, wait a
Well-
minute. Let's narrow this down. It has to be. It has to
Something
include
appropriate.
us.
Well, you know, my niece just gave birth to a baby girl that's absolutely adorable, and it's like
That's a highlight.
that's a huge
Yeah.
that's monumental.
Mm-hmm.
I had my cousins' kids get me to a point where I wouldn't drive the boat, pulling
They
them out
wore
of
you
tube
out.
anymore.
They
I got
wore
worn
you out. I've never seen you worn
I'm
out.
like, I'm done.
From
So
camp.
This
Year you got worn out.
Yeah,
It was the first
right.
time I've ever seen you like that.
Yeah, I had to pawn off driving the boat to my brother because I was whooped. Couldn't do it. So I mean, it's just on and on. These are all just wonderful things. They're all experiential life, rich life things. We're really fortunate to be able to have all this wonderfulness and happen back to back to back. I mean, sailing. Even I came.
The sailing, that was
Even today, I had a
magical.
moment. I get to ride in the cockpit even when I'm not flying, and I came up from New York in a 757 in the cockpit, and I have a lot of experience in that airplane. I just love it. It was just a beautiful sunny day. It was just like
clear,
going
so
for
you're
a
going up
beautiful
over New
airplane
England.
ride into.
And you didn't have to
into
do
Boston.
anything.
I didn't have to do anything, and it was just a joy to be there. It was really, I just connected with why I love aviation and flying and all that. And those moments are spectacular too. And this year's been full of them. And next year, I'm sure we're starting off on a good note.
It is amazing how many things we do each year. I mean, I never did so many things in a year till I got wrangled up with you guys
Yeah. No,
in a year. I mean, it's just
bonkers.
tremendous. It's all over the place. I mean, you were skiing with Renee this year as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Skiing with Renee.
With your brother.
With my brother,
It's
yeah, with
just-
backcountry skiing and
Just
Quebec.
incredible.
I mean, the show's not
you,
about
you
me.
bought a brand new adventure bike this year.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
brand new this year.
I brought two.
You bought two this year.
The one who we
Yeah.
couldn't convince to buy any.
Yeah, I know. And then he goes, "Oh yeah, I got another one.
I'm gonna have to have two now.
Yeah, I got had to get the 1250."
What was your highlight?
Well, like both you guys, there's a lot of them.
Oh, but
a lot of
relative
highlights,
to
a lot
this,
of highlights on, family front and life front and experience front, but from a wine-centric
yeah,
standpoint.
yeah.
To me, besides the trip to Maryland, which was phenomenal, was the place where I am now, where the winery is at this point, in relationship to other craft producers. And not one, but two other really cool craft producers in New Hampshire I got to collaborate with. So this is Stoneface Brewery with
Right,
Dan,
the
the
collabs.
brewer there, and with Jamie, the distiller at Tamworth Distillery. That sort of is like a chapter, starting a new chapter.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I was a winemaker doing my thing, trying to figure out how I craft, what do I do, how am I making this sort of stuff, to now interacting with somebody that's making some of the best beer in the state.
Yeah.
Coming over and going, wow, this is really cool stuff. I'd love to get some barrels. Can we swap some barrels?
Yeah.
And me thinking to myself, wow, I get an opportunity to work with some barrels that have had other stuff in them. How is this going to work? And it is fun. This is Red Scare, aged in a barrel that held a brandy wine, a beer.
Speaking of brandy, this is so good.
I know, we'll get back to that. We were sipping that before.
We didn't talk about it.
We didn't even talk about it, but we'll come back to it.
Come back to it.
And this this collaborative aspect has moved me into a whole new range of thinking, of possibilities, of ideas, and it's sort of an acknowledgement. It's like graduating. I went from elementary to junior high.
Junior
year.
high?
Yeah.
Junior high.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
he's
just
got a ways
junior
to go. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Can't wait till you get to high school.
I'm gonna get my doctorate in this. Yeah, I'm gonna be 90. But that's a big graduation. I went from elementary school to junior high.
That is a lot. You
And
skipped a
it
few
was a big
grades.
change.
I think you skipped some grades.
We got to get him a cap and gown.
He's probably got one from
I'm
his
gonna
other.
move the tassel from one side to the other of my mortarboard.
Ooh,
He's probably already got one of those though.
Yeah,
So
I've
this
got
is-
many.
So this is one of those, we started off with one of the collaboratives, which was the Tamworth Distilleries. This is our heirloom crabapple wine aged in apple brandy barrels from Tamworth Distillery. And now we're on to a red wine called Red Scare, which I'm sure all of you out there have tried. But this is finished off, aged in some barrels that we got from Stoneface Brewery. Previously had a barley wine, previously had a Tennessee whiskey, previously had some maple syrup. And this is the 21 vintage of Red Scare.
It's delicious.
Yeah, that's.
And it just adds some really
So-
nice, unique. So for me,
So you'll love
personally,
this.
that's the Maryland and this whole collab thing
Yeah.
were really
That's
stood out to me.
So to
for this year.
piggyback on that, I was in the tasting room today. We were open, and I was the one who was running the shop today. So I got to do a number of tastings, my favorite thing to do. And I had 3 young groups, and they were all young. They were all probably in their late
16.
20s, early 30s.
16 to 18.
I would keep hoping.
No, I was going to say something like 50.
Just kidding. Who's the people that watch us? NHCL enforcement. That was a joke. They were all of age, 21. We
I
know
can't
that.
believe he said that.
I know,
He's recording and everything. You know. He's a trained professional.
He's a pilot.
Well, I was thinking the drinking age was 18, which is why I don't work behind the tasting bar.
It's been 21 for
I know.
Decades.
Like
Since you were
30
born.
years.
Like since
No,
I
no,
was
it
21.
18 when I was 18. Yeah, yeah, since you were 21. Yeah.
So anyway, these 3 young groups came in, two groups of 2 and a group of 3, and all of them had touched our ecosphere, biosphere, whatever, at least once. I mean, they either had our wine somewhere else or they'd been in here before, and it was such a joy to do a tasting with them because they were so enthusiastic about every single wine, and they weren't just. What was wonderful about it is all of them were thoughtful and interpretive. They were digging in on the wines, and they were saying the right things. They were picking up the right notes and understanding the wines. They weren't just parroting, "Oh, this is delicious." A lot of people say the wines are good, and that's fine. I'm glad people enjoy them. But when they enjoy them and appreciate them at the same time, it's a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And all 3 of these groups were in that category, and they were just such a joy to share wines with. And one of them was that they newly joined our club that we talked about, and they were telling me that he was telling me about how he's got a cellar full of this. He's going to age this out. He wants to wait 5 years. I'm going to wait. We're going to let that sit, and he's telling me all
Well, what's
about
nice
his
when you have
whites
a
and his
cellar-
reds and
Yeah. What's nice when you have a cellar like you do, like we do, if you have the same vintage, you can try a bottle each year.
yeah.
And see how it goes, and try to take good notes and figure things out. And when we were at the beginning of this evening's talk, and we were thinking about if we were gonna presume what's gonna happen over the next year and come up with ideas, it brought to my mind something that I wanted to share with everybody here tonight again, is that one of the things I'm really excited about for 2024 is, now with COVID behind us for the most part, we are bringing back wine-centric events into the winery. And we have 2 of them planned for this month.
Oh, I'm glad you brought
So
that up.
this is such an exciting return in so many ways to what Hermit Woods was in 2019 and previously, was that
So
we would
much.
have gatherings here. And this is what we love doing, and we're bringing that back. And so everybody out there and everybody who comes through these doors now is gonna know that we have an event coming up where we're gonna do a judgment of New Hampshire. We're gonna blind taste Hermitage next to some classic grape-based wines.
That's going to be a really fun experience.
It's gonna be great. I'm
But
so
we
excited
did this,
about this.
We
Coming
did this
is
in
back.
17, I think.
Is that when we did
I think
it?
it was
Yeah.
in 17 we did it, and it was a great night. We had, 10 or 12 people participate, and we got all these great wines from the from the liquor store from all over the world and shared those wines blind next to Hermitage. And it was such a learning experience for me as well as everybody in the group.
Yeah.
But if you're interested in doing that, we're gonna be doing that live here in this room in 14 days.
That's the other thing. We have
The space
a
to do
facility
it.
now where we can do it properly. We've got a screen, we have a space, we have everything set up to where we can do this properly for more people.
Yep.
We could just barely cram everybody on the tables with all those glasses last time. And this time we're gonna be able to do it much more thoughtfully.
So that's the 14th, and then I'm excited about, I haven't published this yet. I was supposed to have published it by now, but it'll get there. It's coming up on the 18th, I believe it is, and it's
That's a
a
Wednesday.
wine appreciation class. And it's just, it's all of the best stuff that I get to talk about on my tours, and
Well, I see you when you know, on Saturday when you brought your tour up here and did the tasting there, because our tasting bar was full of people. And I come up and there you are, and you're swirling and you're teaching people about this, and I hear you on your tour talking about, oh, I'm glad you asked that question. Screw caps and corks. Let's talk about that. You know, it is something that we're excited about, that we're interested in, that we've spent quite a bit of time learning about, and people out there are interested. They'd like to know.
And it's so
Just
much more fun for me when the people that I'm sharing the experience with really want to know.
Right.
They're really interested.
Yeah.
They want to learn, and they have great
huge.
questions, and it
Yeah.
makes it so much more interesting.
And you see a lot of, 20-something-year-old people
Well, that's what I'm saying.
really
This
learning
is a new
about
group of
wine,
people.
which is awesome.
And one question came up, I forget when this was, but it was a young person in their 20s, I think, or maybe early 30s. And they
With the
tell
woman
me
that
about
brought her son back from New
No, it
Zealand?
wasn't that
No,
one, but
no.
it was tonight. It was actually after the tasting.
Okay.
He said, "Yeah, tell me about this cork and screw cap thing." And I started telling him about it, and I realized, I said, you don't have the same perception as I do. I said, when I was young, your age, I said, if I saw a wine in a screw cap, I was not going to buy it if I was looking for a good wine. That's where all the plunk
Right.
went, right? It was in a screw cap.
But now it doesn't
I
matter.
said, you don't even know that. Because you've been, in your entire time of drinking wine, half the wines have been in screw caps. So who would ever think that they're bad
Or in
wines?
pouches or in cans.
Yeah.
Or,
So it's really, the world has changed. And he was like wide open. His eyes were wide open. He's like, wow, I never knew all that. That's so interesting about how that all comes about.
well, it was when we were first really digging in on wines and reading and learning about wines in France and Spain and Italy, I was always thinking to myself, I sort of figured out that, or I thought that the French, California, they knew how to make wine. They've been making wine for a long time. They know how to make good wine. They just keep making wine the way they've always made it. And that's not the case at all.
So Greg Farley just got on, and he's talking about a highlight for him in 2023 was having Ozark wine at the lake on the Ozarks of Missouri with friends that know wines and getting to tell the story of Hermit Woods and the fact that they were drinking wine made from plums.
Thank you,
Thank
Greg.
you, Greg.
Great. Yeah.
I'm very
If
excited.
anybody else
Yeah.
out there has some highlights that you want to mention of 2023
Yeah.
in relationship to your experience with us, we'd love to hear it. Picking the new glass. Remember picking the new glass? I don't remember that.
It's
What do you
probably
mean?
these.
Well,
Or
the
the one
one with
before
the
that.
special,
Oh.
the special.
That's right. He had the cutout.
The
that
cutout
was from
glass.
the EWE.
You'll have to let us
Matt
know.
went to the EWE.
We tried this glass at the EWE that had a cutout right here, so that your nose fit. Actually, the cutout was here, so that your nose fit further into the glass, so that you get. And it was an interesting concept, to be sure, but we were with Matt when we discovered that, and that was a highlight for me actually. Speaking of Matt, thank you, Matt, for bringing this to my attention. Having you join. You and your wife joined us at EWE. That was such a joy to see you there and to share some wine events and experiences with you at the EWE. It's been such an important event for us, and it was again this year. That was in the highlight reel. Some of our pictures of our.
Matt, are you going
EWE.
back to the EWE this year?
Yeah,
We
you'll
will
have to
be
let us
there.
know.
We haven't missed one yet. Although
Uh,
there was one year that was missed from the COVID, 21. they didn't have it.
Yeah, they didn't have it, but it's not because we missed it. Matt's highlight was bringing Red Scare and giving it away to winemakers in France.
Yeah.
Way to go, Matt.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you, Matt.
So, I had a thought, it's fleeting. That's what happens when you drink wine.
What happens when you get to be your age, Bob?
Oh, geez, what is that, 59?
60th year, Bob, 60th year.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. He can keep holding on to 59. My mom held on to 29 for the longest
Did
time.
you hold on to
Oh yeah, we had the 10th anniversary of her
That's
29th
just not
birthday.
real, though, the
The
29th.
15th anniversary of her 29th birthday.
Let's see, what else?
We
What
had a
else we
lot of
got
those,
here?
For sure.
So we should offer some explanation, because in our highlight reel, there's a bunch of pictures of us riding motorcycles, and we did talk about the fact that a big time for this, all three of us bought new adventure bikes this year, 2023. So it's a major part of our experience, and everything, it all connects. I mean, how did we get to the wine event? On motorcycles. So.
And we almost got to the EWE on motorcycles, but I got laid up in Amsterdam on my way back from Italy. And
Yeah.
They couldn't go. And
This year.
the weather window actually would have worked.
It would work,
Probably
yeah.
worked, yeah.
I don't
This year
think
we're
it'll
going to do
work
it.
this year.
Why? Look at the weather out there. It's
Well, that's
practically summer.
That's true.
So there were some pictures in the reel. Another adventure, Ken, as a gift to me, and the fact that I bought a new bike, invited me to take training down in Virginia to learn how to ride this bike. I'm so glad he did, because it's a monster.
It makes a big
It
difference.
makes a big difference to actually know how to ride it. But some of the images that you saw in that reel were Ken and I taking a 1,500, 1,600 mile journey.
Yeah, it was a whole week.
Round trip down through some of the BDR and through the back roads of Virginia and Pennsylvania. And that's when we saw Kiwi Dave, who we drove right by Kiwi Dave's farm.
Yep.
And that was the day before the big
Frost.
frost that killed all the fruit in New England.
That's
so
when I
that
was
a
sleeping
major
outside
connection.
and glamping in West Virginia.
Freezing your
No,
tush
I didn't
off.
freeze at all.
Really?
My sleeping bag was covered with frost in the morning,
No.
but I was perfectly fine.
You're the one
I-
who's cold. You're
Well,
always cold.
Yeah, but alcohol is kind of like, antifreeze,
Ah, that's.
so that helps.
So those are some of those pictures. There's pictures of us standing around in a field with a bunch of motorcycles. We were learning how to ride our motorcycles.
Are you projecting these pictures?
No, I can't. So I
Okay.
didn't have I thought I had a
So
way to
you're
do
looking
that.
at the picture, but no one else is.
No, but they saw them in the reel. I was,
Okay.
was
I
bringing
was
them
just wondering
up in the reel.
if people are actually
These,
seeing.
I'm looking at the pictures so that I can.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
was
we're going to
there-
show the reel again at the end of this, so that
Oh,
everybody
okay.
will see this again.
Was there something else we didn't explain that was in our?
I'm going through it now.
Oh, you're gonna
That's-
go through it,
That's
yeah,
why,
okay. Yeah.
and also one of the pictures, we met these two great people from Canada on that trip,
Yeah.
Paul and
Dominique.
And Dominique. And we've since seen them again. They visited us here.
Yeah.
Really into wine. Dominique travels the world
Yeah,
and
she does.
It's a
drinks wine.
restaurateur.
She's a restaurateur.
Français,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're gonna go visit her. She lives in Montreal with Paul, and
Yeah,
we're
she's
gonna
got
go
a
visit her.
restaurant there in Montreal.
And on part of that journey, we got to visit the Blue Ridge Parkway. We got
Yep.
to ride it. That was pretty cool.
Yep.
And then of course we barely survived it. And then we talked about this already. The
The collaborative.
collaborative with Stoneface.
Yep.
Do we still have some of that left? So we'll be selling that into
Yep,
this
we've
year.
got a few cases left of that, which is good. And what's really fun? It's been a two-way street. So, like the barrels that came from Tamworth, we put our wine into it, and then those barrels are in Stoneface now, and Stoneface has got a beer in them. And we brought
Oh my God.
we brought the barrels in from Stoneface to put this Red Scare in.
Right.
You know where those are? Tamworth.
Yeah.
So it's really, we've set up this triangle of swapping barrels.
So another highlight for me in that reel was this guy, Philip Hamilton, was one of the first shows that turned me on to a listening room experience
Yeah.
at Pittman's Freight Room 12 years ago. And I remember seeing that show. I bought a CD, which I rarely buy CDs when I go see shows, but I was just so enthralled with his music. And I played that CD for years. I still play it. It's on my computer. And I reached out to Philip this year and asked him if he would come play, and he came and did a performance here, and it was such a cool thing to have him back. He's out in New York and super cool guy. I hope we can have him back
super
again.
nice guy.
Yeah. So that was another highlight, And then there's some pictures you'll see. We're going to play this reel again, so we'll talk about these pictures. I had a plan to try and show them while we were talking about them, but I couldn't do that.
But we do have a new microphone, and hopefully you guys are all hearing us clearly,
Yes,
and we're not
please.
dealing with mics that were problematic. Bob continues to push the envelope on the technology front, usually 4 minutes before we go live, but still pushing the front
Usually?
of... Yeah.
Always.
Not always.
Yeah, let us know in the comments if the sound is okay.
Sometimes it's 3 minutes before the show.
Right,
That's
exactly.
what he usually
I'm
was.
being generous.
Yeah, you're being generous.
It's a feel-good day. You know, just...
That's right. We're celebrating all of last year on the first day of the new year.
Yeah.
I know.
Happy last year.
He figured it out.
And what do you predict for 2024, Chuck? What do you predict?
Let's not get there.
Yeah.
We're going to have a whole show on it. Right?
We're going to do a whole show.
We're
Yeah,
going to do a show.
we're not
on it.
going there.
Oh, we are. Oh,
Yeah,
we're not going
yeah,
there.
we,
Okay,
ju-
we're not
yeah,
going
we
there.
decided. Well, because we got to talk about Dirt Days.
Dirt Days.
Dirt Days.
My favorite memory from Dirt Days is watching Bob do the obstacle course.
That was great.
I
We
still
came
laugh
back
every
from the
time-
ride.
every
We
time
came
I
back
see
from the ride. Bob's like, "Oh, you guys want to do this?" I'm like, "No way. I'm done. I'm gonna get a beer. I'm gonna watch you." And you're like, the whole time you're like, "Oh yeah, it's no problem. I can do that. We can do that. No problem."
Easy peasy.
But it was more difficult than you had imagined.
I only fell 3 times. Come on. It was very difficult.
It was difficult.
So, but it was fun. Dirt Days is basically an opportunity for adventure bike enthusiasts to gather together at a bike rally up in Haverhill, who the couple tasting today were from Haverhill.
Oh, really?
They knew about the rally, yeah. So
Wow.
they're a great couple.
Were they complaining about you riding that
The rocket.
rocket?
I did
by their
mention the
house?
rocket today, but not to them,
Not
to
to
somebody
them.
else.
Bob's
he's still in love.
Bob's next motorcycle.
Yeah, that's his next one.
My next motorcycle. Oh, and then there's Ken and the Apple Tree. Oh, that's funny. The song that stood out for me for Village Voices, who played here, Vintage Voice Quartet, was "Who Stood Under the Apple Tree."
Oh.
I love that song. And there you are,
We just released
shaking the
wine
tree, and we
from
just
that
released
tree.
that wine.
Oh, really?
So this is the fastest I've turned around a full-blown high-gravity beverage ever. But it just became what it was going to be right away, perfectly. So it's our crab apple cider, made from the apples that we harvested down there in the park. Remember you and Bonnie came over there, and
Oh,
we
yeah,
were,
yeah.
we were doing that whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And Ben and I also harvested some crab apples from a tree right here in town
Yep.
that is in their front yard, and mixed it with some honey from Troy Hall, from Hall Apiaries, and it's already bottled and on the shelf.
Crab apple cider.
Crab
And
apple cider.
it's been years since you've had that wine.
Yeah, the last vintage was 2020.
When you say high gravity, how high gravity are you talking?
Well, it's like 13% or so.
Oh, okay.
But it's not like
About
a hard cider. You know, I made the Kitten's hard cider, and that's going to get bottled in the next week or two.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's typical 3 months is kind of a quick turnaround
For
for me
cider.
for a product.
Yeah.
And it's usually a cider, lower gravity, or a session mead. A lot of places do this routinely.
Well,
When we
the
went
big
down to look
cider
at that-
houses, it's 3 weeks.
I know. But it's, I don't know, it's just a different approach. Anyway, this went quickly, so it was nice to see that
Yeah.
photograph.
So that was you shaking apples out of the tree down here.
We
in,
got what,
Heskey
250
Park.
pounds out of
Yeah.
the town trees.
Yeah. And we assume that those trees survive the frost because of their proximity to the lake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Terroir.
that makes sense
We're
because
talking terroir, right?
it's terroir. Yes, indeed.
So with that sizer,
Up on
you get its flavor of terroir
Yeah,
all at the same time.
That's right. Up on Lake Champlain, when we went up sailing up there, went to that vineyard, and they didn't suffer much of a loss in their vineyard.
Oh yeah, the white.
Because they're close to the lake.
Oh, yeah.
What was that? Snow Farm.
Snow
or
Farm Vineyard.
Snow
Yeah.
Farm Vineyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd been
Yeah.
there before.
That was another memorable experience in that I had been there with Geraldine in
Yeah.
like the first few years we were living in New England. And we went up to Burlington for a trip
Yeah.
and spent a
Yeah.
day up there. And then we got to go
Yeah.
back, and it hadn't changed.
Yeah, yeah.
Hardly at all. In 20 years, 25
Except for a
years.
much larger parking.
Much
Yeah.
larger parking lot, yeah.
Because
they
of the
got
music events.
Because they were doing music events, which was such a thrill.
Yeah.
That's what struck me about that place. Anyway,
Yeah.
that
That's
was always
really
in
worth-
my
That
in
is
my head.
probably part of the
It is,
the
not
catalyst
probably.
to do this.
It is.
Yeah.
It's not probably. When I started thinking, when we were on Taylor Road, and I started talking to you about the jazz festival in the
We were barely
field.
opening, and you wanted to build a stadium across the street in the field. With
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
I know.
were gonna
You
do
were
an
just
outdoor
like,
concert. Yeah,
we got a winery, now we're going to do music.
Yeah, would have been great.
Yeah.
Steel Hill
Well,
didn't go along with it, so
No,
we couldn't.
this,
And then we moved
is
here.
better. Yeah.
This is better.
This is much better.
So,
And I got out on a trapeze.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
so
right.
That's it. So I have one of my.
We're looking at a
fleet of
picture
toys,
that's in
yeah,
the slideshow.
It's in the slideshow, but it shows Ken standing out, hanging off a wire off of a catamaran.
Yes.
And that catamaran is a boat from 1986 that was modified, super fast boat to begin with, and then it was modified by a friend of mine who was on an Olympic sailor in the 80s, and he modified the boat to make it super fast. And it is, I mean, he built custom sails, and it's a super fast boat. But the exciting thing is to dare to hang your life in the hands of whoever's on the tiller and hang over the side of the boat going 20
Well,
miles
it
an
was
hour.
a couple years ago, you took him out, and he was slinging off that thing, taking photographs with his
Yeah.
$1,000 iPhone.
Well, he just
in his
did
hand.
that. That's what that picture was.
Well, now he's dead now.
that's
but
how much
he's
I
a
trust the
veteran now.
pilot.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, well, I have another sailor who likes to do that would probably differ with your confidence in my tillering
Yeah,
skills,
they have
but-
some injuries they're recovering from, aren't they?
She's now walking again, yes.
Oh,
so
good.
that's Without crutches, so that's good. Yeah. She's in reunion right now, actually, so she's made it out of country.
So, we did get a comment about the sound. It's too quiet, so the mic is too far away.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. let me try
Thank you
this
for
side.
letting us know. We will take care of that in the future, and maybe right now.
How about right now? Because it's, you know.
Yeah, put it right in front of Ken's
Now
face.
it's
No,
in
no,
front
no,
of
no,
my
no.
face,
It's gonna be fine.
but you can hear me.
No, you gotta do it normal now.
What?
You
So now,
How about that?
Can you hear me now?
Let us know
Can we
if
whisper?
if you got it any better.
This is like a Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me
Can
now?
you hear me now? No?
How about now?
How about now? Can you hear me now?
I like that. It's like
Let's see if we
it's
got
like a
better.
360 microphone in a little case.
It's not blocking your face.
You don't see it.
Does that help? Did the
So
did
how
the
are we
sound get
doing?
better? How are we doing?
How we doing? Is that better?
Better. Somebody said
better?
better right away.
Is
Much
that
better. Somebody
Much
said.
better.
Oh, we did it.
Oh, that's it.
Yay!
Don't
Yay.
clap like that. Too loud.
Yeah, too loud, too loud.
Now we can
loud.
whisper.
Turn it down.
Excellent. Thank you for the immediate feedback. I love this forum. It's so great to be
Yeah,
here
that
with you
was-
guys.
that was super duper.
So the next set of pictures this was a highlight too. We were planning to take Chuck's sailboat down to the ocean, and this hurricane was barreling down on New England.
Buzzards Bay is where we were going.
Yeah,
That's right,
and
Buzzards Bay. We
which
were
was like
right
the
to the
target, the
epicenter.
epicenter
It
of
was
this
the
thing.
epicenter, yeah.
So we thought maybe we shouldn't do that.
No,
That was a
And,
good pivot.
it was a great.
That was a
pivot.
really
great
good
pivot.
pivot.
Yeah, night before or whatever it was.
That
We-
was
Yeah.
I
really
was talking to you, and you're like, "Well, what about Magog or whatever that lake is in Vermont or Champlain?" I'm like, "Champlain? Yeah, why not?"
Yeah. And it's massive.
It's
I
massive.
learned-
I couldn't
it's
believe
We
it.
can go-
massive.
you
I
can-
learned so much.
We
from
could
that.
go all the way out to Atlantic from there.
Yeah,
right?
you can. Right. Yeah, you can go
Out to St. Lawrence.
You can take the canals and get to the Hudson, or you can
Take
go
it down
up-
Mississippi and
or you can go up to the Great Lakes or the
go to the
St.
Great
Lawrence
Lakes?
River, or go out to the. It's
Yeah.
astonishing. Yeah, the most polluted lake I've ever been on in my life. I think.
It
Has
was
more those
it was crazy.
environmental destruction.
It was
signs at
crazy
every-
bad, and all the signs
Yeah,
everywhere.
The mussels, the fish, the yikes, algae blooms. But
Yeah.
that's what you get for being in the middle of everything, I guess. But it was what a
Well,
great
that and
experience.
everybody growing nice lawns.
Okay.
That's a lot of it.
well, a lot of it is it's fertilizer. There's it's just such
The
a
same thing on this
huge,
lake.
Farms.
huge
and
lake
farms.
surrounded by
there was a lot of
farmland.
farmland.
Yeah, Vermont, New York, farmland.
Yeah.
So it's and you know the modern home has to have a big sweeping lawn down to the
Yeah,
water.
and
so-
people with sailboats without lavatories probably wouldn't.
No, we would never do that.
Wouldn't be doing any-
Contribute
contribute.
ammonium nitrate to the environment. Did he have to bring that up?
No, I didn't have to bring that up. No, I didn't.
Just felt it was important. It's
Yes,
a
I did.
Highlight 2023.
Plattsburgh, New York, wandering around Plattsburgh. Yeah.
Do you
that
know what
was
that big monument is
and
for? That monument's just
for the
scary
like
bad.
The,
Do you remember
French and Indian
the
War.
best story?
The
We were
little
sitting at the
convenience store?
diner. We're sitting at the
Oh, the
diner
diner.
having
Yes.
breakfast,
Right, yeah, yeah.
and the server and I said to the server, I forget how this goes. She was telling the story about this huge reenactment that
They do
have
it every year.
every year, and it was about the war between the French and the English, or I don't even remember
Yeah,
at
she
this
didn't know either.
moment. And then I said to her, I said, "So who won?" And she just went completely blank. She was like,
I don't know.
"That's a great question.
I've lived in this town all my life.
I've been going to that celebration every year.
Maybe my daughter knows. She's in 3rd grade.
Maybe you won." Because if you didn't win,
Yeah, you probably wouldn't be here.
you might not be celebrating, or you'd be celebrating in another language.
Yeah.
That was the funniest moment.
Yeah,
and
that's
she was so deadpan about it.
Yeah.
And she literally came back to the table and said, I'm going to look into that.
And that diner hadn't changed in 50 years.
No,
That was a classic diner with the whole wraparound format.
And that's one of the, next to Burlington, it's the biggest city on that lake.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a big town, that
Big
new
one.
pot. What is it called? Anyway.
But what, and we wound up at that marina on the other side of the lake up in Grand Isle, right? Met Chuck and the whole marina experience.
Oh, yeah,
The guy who'd done time.
What
Yeah,
a great
it was-
story that
Oh,
was.
boy.
Talk
That
about
was a
stories.
huge, the whole thing was a huge adventure.
It's awesome.
And we went to his restaurant
Yeah.
right there in
There's a
town.
picture in the,
Yeah,
of
there is
the
a picture
restaurant
of it.
in the
Yeah.
slideshow.
And
We're going to show that one
martinis-
more time before we get to
martinis
the
are
end.
in there,
Oh
that's
my
what-
God, we're almost at the end.
No.
We
No,
got-
it's just starting, Bob.
We're
the
at-
year is
it's
just starting.
6:28.
It's not near the end.
So let me ask the audience, let me poll the audience. We've been talking about all these things. Do you want us to show that video as a closing to this show so that you get to see the pictures again? Or would you rather just spend a few more minutes chatting? So we'll wait to hear from you about that.
Yeah, are there any audience questions or your highlights we should
So
focus
there
on?
is another highlight that we didn't even talk about,
Oh
that
my
I know you have some of the pictures in here, and I was just thinking of one of our club members, Gary Parker, and I know he was here last night, and we took a bunch of photographs
Oh yeah,
for our new website.
Ah, the
And
new
with
website,
Gary's-
that's in
including,
there too.
including Gary's car.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was a last
with
minute thing
with
too.
the
Yeah,
distribution,
that was-
with
yeah,
Maya
that was-
and the dog and all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So the whole website was a long process and
10 years in the making.
an incredibly, well, for sure, but 2 years of intense activity.
Yes, 3.
And really just came finally out to the world
Yep.
to see. And our website is up, and we have pictures in our tasting room and lots of photos that have gone out through social media so people can see this. And it, Deb and Paul just did a tremendously fantastic job of capturing us and portraying us and what we're excited about and what we do. And that
Lord, yeah.
that really is one of the key highlights for the year.
Yeah,
in so many
and I
ways.
think why it didn't jump out to me as a matter of
Are
experience.
you a bluebird? Is that how it goes?
Is that no chickadee?
Oh, a chickadee.
Yeah, it was kind of like going to school because we had to do homework and
We did.
come up with ideas and
Like, what
show
kind
up.
of bird are you?
Yeah, like complicated things like that. It's a lot of thought goes into what kind of bird you are.
Do you
if
remember
you're
what kind of
like,
bird you were?
A chickadee. Yeah,
He's a chickadee.
yeah, for sure. And
Were you the
it was
bluebird?
really intensive. I mean, we sat around for hours in the yoga studio going over
Mhm.
ideas and concepts and personality things, and then they sort of crafted this whole website and the whole photo shoot based on their interpretation of what they thought this all needed to be. And as a matter of experience, I've never been through anything like that. And then to go through the whole photo shoot thing, then we had to fly to Switzerland and
To
I had
get you up
wear-
on that cliff.
Get me on the cliff to hang
know.
off that cliff.
I know.
1,000 feet above the ground with no safety net, in a kilt, and it was 15 below zero.
I know. You should have seen the view from below.
Never mind. Not going there.
So, it was great, a good conversation. People wanted us to keep chatting. We're really at the end of the hour. I did post the link to the video, so anybody
Okay.
can go and watch it on their own. So if
Great.
you did want to
That's
see
good.
that again, you don't need to watch it here. We did cover the website, and there was a couple other things that were important. We did have a group bike ride. I promise you, we had a group trip to the Hermit.
To the
which was a
gravesite.
Great
That was
experience.
fantastic.
I can't wait to do that again in
We
the
should do it in the
spring.
winter when
we
the
will
creek is
not be
frozen.
doing it in the winter. And we will do this in the spring. The creek doesn't freeze. And we're not
it's a
doing it
creek?
in the winter. We're doing this in the summer when
So
it's nice
moving
and
water
warm.
doesn't freeze.
Oh, no,
Did you know
the stuff on top.
No,
It will
yeah.
freeze.
I think it was deadly this trip. It's going to get just worse in the winter. We
sounds
talked
like
about
a
the
collab.
collab with
Umbagog.
we took a
Umbagog, we
great
did
motorcycle trip to
Umbagog.
Umbagog. That was in
Have
the
we
list.
done that every year? Have we done that every
We
year?
do that every year, yeah.
Almost, yeah.
We released our
I know we
mulled
tried to.
cider.
Mulled
Oh, the
cider,
mulled
yeah.
cider.
That was a big
Yeah,
hit. The
Lots of loft
vintage
things.
voice,
Yep.
lots of
Vintage
loft
voice, yeah.
music. Justin McKinney did 2 back-to-back sold-out shows
Yep.
here. Great experience. Justin had a great time. We had a great time. We're going to do it again next year. He promised me.
Awesome.
So,
So that's
hope you'll
happening
get a
in
chance to
2024?
see.
We're not talking about
2024.
2024.
Well, I know we're not talking about it, but
And the last picture on the slideshow is one of my favorites. Just as we were getting ready for the club, some of our favorite members, all of you were here.
Oh, yeah,
Our-
that's
the club
our
party.
picture- The club party.
Matt, Jen,
Not
Jeff,
all of you, but many
Priscilla.
of you are here to, in this picture, you'll see at the end. So we covered it. That was the highlight. We will do a show. Oh, next week, we have Chuck and his wife, Chuck Souther and his wife.
oh, great.
They're going to be, and we're going to get our mic situation ready for that because it's going to be a great conversation.
Well,
They've
this is
been
it, right?
running.
This is the mic.
I hope so. Well, we've
Situation.
had some situations. Hopefully, that's good. But they've been running Apple Hill Farm for 44 years or something like that. It's such a great story. In fact, the intro to the show has a little bio that talks about them. They were young. They got married. They started a farm. It's Apple Hill, and it's a great story. So we're going to learn from them. They have been supplying us apples and helping with our cider needs for 10 years now, something like that.
They're right from the very beginning.
From the
I-
very
I-
beginning at Hermit Woods.
I
At least
picked
since we've
black
been here.
currants in his fields.
Yeah.
Like in 2010.
And they're
Oh, wow.
they're
And-
prominent in our website
Oh, that's
pictures.
right. Yeah, yeah,
We did a whole photo shoot with them.
Yeah.
So-
we learned all about.
We don't need to go into it
cider.
because we're going to do it next week. They're going to be here to talk about all of that
Okay.
next week. And then after that, we'll do a preview of 2024. That'll be fascinating.
We only have 2 weeks to prep.
Yeah.
All right.
We got to do it early because lots going to happen.
Yeah, and I just might, just so, a caveat, so you should watch this show to really figure out where Chuck's Peach Folly came from, because you're gonna be
We're gonna bring
seeing
that up. I
the
was gonna just
actual-
skip right over
Do you have
that.
a bottle still?
I do actually.
the actual
Should I bring it in?
reason
Oh,
for Chuck's
that's,
Peach
That's a
Folly.
little bit on the roasted side there. I don't know. We'll talk about that over non-alcoholic beverages.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think
You had to bring that one
I think
up.
that with Chuck's Peach Folly comment, I think that brings us to a close of another Monday Night Live
I
with
wonder
the
how many
Hermits.
people out there have a bottle or have tried Chuck's Peach Folly.
I bet you lots of them.
Ah,
You'll have to let us
I'm so
know how
sorry.
many of you have
I'm so
tried
sorry,
Chuck's
everybody.
Peach Folly. So we have.
I'm gonna say cheers and good night.
We're going to say cheers and good night. So
We
thank
gotta
you,
have wine. We
everybody.
gotta have wine.
It was great having you. We look forward to you.
2023.
joining us next